self-heal anything yourself, emotional, mental, and physical. All symptoms, including physical ones, are temporary. They are your body's voice shouting about unprocessed emotions. If you are done with making your symptoms permanent, then come to my website link underneath to find out how I can help you to release and rise. I'm Jenny Luscombe, a facilitator of healing and awakening. I point people towards the truth that we do actually have the power to own our own consciousness after all. I'm just about to do my show, Feeling is Healing, on Holistic Radio on Telegram. This happens every Monday, 5 till 6 p.m, where you can listen live and come and join in and ask questions or listen to the replay. I absolutely love my Holistic Radio family. I love doing my show. It's my passion. It's a beautiful example of win-win energy, therapeutic for me, therapeutic for you. Come and discover, explore, live, laugh, learn, listen, enjoy, and gratitude.
Hello, this is Jenny Luscombe. This is Feeling is Healing, and we're having another conversation about bodies. So this is Body Conversations Strike 2. So if anybody comes on the live and wants to ask about a symptom, then feel free to put your hand up and stuff, and I'll see what I can do. I've had a few people message with questions to include. And obviously it's Easter Monday, so not everybody can come on the live, but obviously you can have a listen to the replay. So what if you haven't listened to the other episode about all of this, what I'm basically doing is I'm sharing information from my experience of working with clients emotionally who also have physical symptoms. So I've joined a lot of dots myself, but then I also use wisdom from people like Louise Hay, who it was her life's work to notice emotional and mental patterns in common. So she would notice, for example, if people were struggling with the same disease, she would notice that there were often thought patterns in common with those people. And so she put two and two together, and she realized that the people's thinking is actually generating a frequency. And then if people get stuck on loops, which obviously we all do from time to time, then that specific thought pattern can manifest specific symptoms. So, for example, I'll just do like a little mini recap of some things that we covered last time. So something that comes up over and over again is knees. So if it's your left knee giving you jip, then it's likely that that's the adrenal glands. So if that's your adrenal glands, then that will be pointing you in the direction of you're under a lot of stress. So you need to find some way of reducing the stress in your life. And sometimes it takes a message from the body for us to actually take some action to reduce stresses and things like that. If it's your right knee, it's likely to be something to do with your gallbladder. And it's weird because the body is connected up. When you look at humans holistically, it doesn't make sense. It does make sense sometimes because the body is very literal. Some of it doesn't make sense, and you just have to kind of accept that that's the message because so many other people have had success that way. Anything to do with teeth is often to do with decision making, and that's quite a big one because if we are all kind of in childhood kind of taken away from ourselves and separated from ourselves in some way because we haven't reached the point in evolution yet for us to understand how to parent in a heart-based way, like it's hard for us to make decisions that play out in a positive way. So many of us have found that when we make decisions, those decisions don't always work out the way that we've wanted because we haven't been making the decision from our truth, because we haven't been in our truth probably since we were born, because we've been taken away from our truth in so many different ways. So yeah, teeth is often about decisions, indecision, indecisiveness. Yeah, I've had quite a few messages about the nosebleed example, actually. Um, a lot of bells went off in people's heads with this, because a lot of kids have nosebleed issues. And I remember this from working in a school, and it's connected to not feeling recognized. So not being seen, not being heard, not being sensed, not being validated. And I kind of found that one out by accident, because I'd had a client who was working on a situation in her life where she was trying to raise a red flag about something that was happening to her, and nobody would listen. And then after the session, she'd reached kind of a point of resolution, and then happened to mention that she'd been having loads of nosebleeds. And then when I looked it up, it said in Louise Hay's book, yeah, it's all about recognition of the self not being recognized, not feeling kind of cared for in that way. The nose will bleed to kind of raise a flag so that we can actually see that. So it sounds a bit mad. Like, what's really happening is the subconscious mind is part of the body's intelligence, the natural intelligence of the body, which we don't really understand yet, because we've been led away from this ancient wisdom. We've been taught to outsource our health to other people, like doctors, which has not been very good for us. Sometimes it has, sometimes it hasn't. So the body will always notice everything in life. Like every face in a crowd at a football match, your subconscious mind is going to remember on some level. Every single situation that we move through in our lives, our body, our subconscious mind has remembered it all. Even if it seems like it hasn't, when I take people into memories during EFT sessions, it's the body itself that gives us the memory. So the memory in a session is triggered by being very, very present with the sensation in the body of the symptom. So that might be an emotion, it might be a belief system, like I'm not good enough, something like that. It might be pain, it might be like, the itchiness of a condition, whatever the symptom is doing. If you're incredibly present with that energy, and you allow it to be there. So a lot of people want to just get rid of all of this stuff. It doesn't work. When you just want to get rid of symptoms, it's kind of self-hating, really, because the symptoms are just little versions of you, kind of like frightened children, like frightened versions of you. The emotions and the belief systems and the symptoms, they need to be cared for. So if you imagine what you didn't get when you were a child, you didn't get the specific attention that you needed, you didn't get the specific love that you needed. That's what we have to do with our symptoms. So we have to treat them kindly, we have to attune to them, we have to look at them, we have to face them, we have to just be there for them to play out. So I want you to kind of imagine the subconscious mind. It's not really in your head. It's not in your brain. Well, it is. It's actually everywhere. It's your whole body. It's cellular. So when something happens in our life that we can't process because the people around us can't help, or they're struggling themselves, or we were too young, we didn't have the words, it was overwhelm, whatever, it wasn't our fault, then the body just will, in a very natural way, it will trap the energy in a certain place in your body, and it will trap the energy in the specific place in your body that can give you a clue as to what it's there for. So, for example, what we had last week, Litmus was working on his Achilles tendon, so his heel in one of his feet. And that was all about the connective tissue. So if you have a tendon or a ligament or a disc or something like that, and it's painful, something's happened with one of your joints, so the connective tissue, that's come from a situation where the issue was connection. It was like a lack of connection somehow. So the body will trap the energy in a specific place where you are going to, in the future, when you are ready to deal with that thing, you will get a clue from the body about what to do about that thing, like where it's come from. So it will be enabling you to surface something subconscious and bring it into your consciousness. So this is what happened to us. I mentioned last time there's a valve in the digestive system called the ileocecal valve. So if you want to Google that, it's ileocecal. So that acts like a sphincter muscle, and it basically prevents kind of bacteria and toxicity from the fecal matter getting into the rest of the body, into the bloodstream. So this, apparently, according to Dr. Bradley Nelson, who is the guy who innovated the body code and the emotion code and the belief code, he discovered that this valve traps a boatload of energy, lots and lots of emotion. So this valve, it's thought in this alternative therapy world, is the reason for the majority of allergies. So something as common as allergies, often there's a misdiagnosis, like the doctors, they will just say, okay, here's some antihistamines or whatever, you're allergic to this. And it might not be that, it might be the ileocecal valve. And sometimes people are going for surgeries and they'll have appendix taken out. And lots of clients have realized after coming to see me that they probably had things taken out of their body that they shouldn't have done, because it was actually energy trapped on the ileocecal valve that was causing the imbalance, and it wasn't the organ itself that ended up getting taken out. So often, if I'm doing a body code session and the ileocecal valve comes up as being a place where they've stored trapped emotion, sometimes it's an instantaneous, as soon as I help them release that, then sometimes they can breathe completely in a different way. And that's because the sinuses is where the toxicity, the situation with that toxicity that's got into the body that shouldn't have done, sometimes the body will try to reconcile that through the sinuses. So anyone who has long-term sinus issues, that's sometimes as a result of this ileocecal valve imbalance in the digestive system. So that's a bit of a recap from some things that popped up last week. And there was some other things last week, which I might go over a bit later. But I've been asked to translate the symptoms of dementia. So and this is like a really difficult one. It's such a difficult one. And it's something that touches most families, really, sort of when you think about it, in some way or another. Even if somebody doesn't get a diagnosis of some sort of dementia, sometimes we experience elderly parents as having symptoms like that, but it might not be fully affecting their lives. Yeah, I see that as a kind of, it's almost like the body will force, it's kind of like it will be forcing that person into almost inner child work. So when people have this kind of Alzheimer's or dementia or senility or whatever you want to call it, in Louise Hay's way of noticing patterns and things, she's said that it's kind of like a refusal to deal with the world as it is, like almost like a giving up, hopelessness, anger about the way things are. And sometimes people do seem to regress. They forget how to do things. They'll forget words for things. They might be more emotional, kind of like a child would be. Yeah, that it's kind of like that. I think that there's a beautiful honesty about dementia. People, It's interesting to me. Like I've witnessed several things happen in families where, you know, people's guard comes down with dementia, and people forget the social graces, and they forget, you know, who they've said things to, and like the pretend game falls away, which is a good thing in a way. So sometimes family secrets come out as well, because this guard that people have had up all their lives just kind of drops off. But I think that the childlike way that people sometimes go with dementia, the body is trying to point this person in the direction of trauma work, of inner child work. And it's just like so beautiful and honest. But nobody really seems to know that that's happening. Like, if people did know that was happening, you could really gently make a lot of progress with that family member. You could do inner child work with them just through like really gentle conversation and tapping. And you know, there's ways that you could research how to do that. A lot of people think also, which I think that there's a lot going on with toxicity and environmental stuff that has got into people's bodies in a similar way to what people say about autism. I think with autism and dementia, there's a lot of connections have been made to toxicity as well. So I would recommend Zeolite for that. Like, you can get from different companies sprays, like sprays that you can spray into your mouth, or I think there's different ways of taking it. But Zeolite gets absolutely mind-blowing results with dementia and with autism, actually. So yeah, that I was asked to talk about that a little bit. If anybody needs any advice about dementia and sort of how to go about helping somebody carry out inner child work, I could give you a few pointers if you wanted to get in touch. Another thing I've been asked about a lot is eyes. So I, like myself, like I'm short-sighted, so I get through life wearing either glasses or contact lenses, and I've been short-sighted since I think I was about 9. I think I was about 8 or 9, and I realized that I couldn't see like everybody else could see when all the kids, we were all singing the hymns, and we were in assembly, and in my primary school the words were projected onto a screen, and I couldn't read the screen. And I always just remember sitting like looking at everybody else and going, how can they see that? Like, I can't see that. And I'd squint my eyes and then worry about it, but I wouldn't tell anyone. I'd just worry about it. And then in the end, I think one of the teachers said, she can't see the board. I have to keep moving her to the front and all of this. And then when I got my eyes tested, it was like, oh my God, like, she can't see. She's completely blind. So I've got quite a strong prescription, and I've been wearing glasses ever since then. I think I got contact lenses when I was about 16, something like that, out of vanity. Because what kid wants to wear glasses? Do you know what I mean? I mean, I think it's kind of quite trendy now, but so this is something I've not actually focused on myself, that I kind of think, in the future, when all my needs are met, maybe I'll sit and try and heal my short-sightedness, because it is actually energetic. I really believe that. And I think a lot of the opticians are scamming us. I think that wearing glasses and contact lenses has made our eyes incredibly lazy, and there's loads of people out there who are teaching people how to focus their eyes in a certain way, and you can actually train yourself to not be short-sighted or long-sighted anymore. So I think a lot of people say, oh, she takes after her dad or whatever, and we kind of have assumed that eye problems are somehow genetic. Like, the optician will always test us for astigmatism or glaucoma, like if families had that. But no, it's all energy, like it's all energetic. So my short-sightedness, like anybody out there who is short-sighted, if you think about it in an incredibly literal way, it's not wanting to see. It's basically a fear of the future. It's an unsafety. It's an unsafety about what you're perceiving, and it's a not wanting to fully see. So that thought pattern. I don't want to see. I don't like it. I'm not safe. I don't feel good. I don't feel safe. I'm worried about what's coming. You know, that anxiety. It's a fear of the future that causes short-sightedness. Yeah, if you're long-sighted, so if you can kind of see far away but you can't see up close, it's a fear of the present. It's kind of mind-blowing when you think about it, and it's kind of obvious as well. Right, because I've got glaucoma in my family, but it's in my family because of an energy, not because of something we've passed on, in my opinion. You know, I might be wrong about that. But yeah, glaucoma is a stony unforgiveness. It's like having long-standing hurts that have occurred in life and feeling very overwhelmed by those hurts, but literally not being able to move on and just holding it all tightly, kind of like almost a white knuckle ride, like I'm never going to forgive that person ever again. You know, the pressure that people put on themselves from that. I'm never going to forget what happened. I'm never letting that person off the hook. Or even yourself. I'm never forgiving myself for what I did or what I said. Glaucoma, that, yeah. So kind of like a lack of love and tenderness for either oneself or other people. When people have cataracts as well, like that's kind of like an inability to see ahead with positivity, with joy, like just perceiving a darkness. So obviously this skin grows over the eyes and it puts you in a darkness instead of allowing in the color of life and the vision. Yeah, it's an inability to see ahead with joy. And astigmatism is something else that opticians have told me that I have. That it's when I can't remember which part of your eye it is. It's when there's a part of your eye that's rugby ball shaped instead of spherical. I think something like that. Anyway, it sort of skews your vision, and it's something to do with how you perceive a straight line. Like when you perceive edges, straight lines, you kind of perceive it as wonky or like there's a bit missing out of it. Kind of it's a distortion of the vision. So that is literally eye trouble. So I as in I, the letter I myself, I. So it's when there's a fear of seeing seeing yourself. So being attuned to yourself. So a lot of this stuff is about attunement. Yeah, so that's covered the eyes, like the main things that happen with people's eyes. Yeah, there's a couple of other things there that I could mention. So I've also been asked to talk about weight. So this is obviously a very common thing, and weight is a thing that people can get stuck kind of in working on their entire lives. So when I think of obesity or even, you know, I don't really like that word, obesity, but any kind of overweight, any situation with the body where a person feels like they're too heavy or they're carrying too much weight and they don't know what to do about that. If you look at it in an extremely literal way, it's like anger is a big thing, but if you think of the weight as being actually a physical barrier between the internal self and the outside world, it's a need for protection. So there's a sense of I'm vulnerable, I'm on my own, no one's looking after me. So there's that. There's also kind of like a sense of kind of equating food with love. And I don't think actually being overweight is necessarily anything to do with food, interestingly. But if you see it as mainly anger, that's you're going to do yourself a lot of good if you try to tap into anger that you've suppressed. That's what is going on with weight issues. So hang on, I'm just trying to find the right page. Yeah, it's like, yeah, so sometimes we have emotions that are a covert emotion. So sometimes we'll have emotions that we experience because we don't want to drop into the thing that's underneath it. So, for example, sometimes numbness or kind of that sense of apathy is like a cover emotion for despair. So nobody wants to drop into despair, that kind of sense of giving up, that gloom and, dismal kind of darkness. In order to prevent the self from dropping into that, sometimes people will feel numbness, and it just keeps people out of the almost like the danger zone, if you see what I mean. So sometimes with the issue with weight, fear may be a cover for hidden anger. So it's like if you imagine the fat in the body being a strategy to kind of cover up this anger, because anger, there's so much attached to it. We weren't allowed to be angry when we were kids, and we need to be angry. Like I actually think anger is one of the most important emotions out there, for loads of different reasons. Anger is a powerful, active emotion, and it prevents us from being bullied. It prevents us from being abused. It helps us know where our boundaries are. It helps us understand who we are, what we need, what we want. If we suppress our anger, which I did, I suppressed a boatload of anger and resentment, and I understand now that's why I manifested so many terrible relationships, because if you've buried your anger, you let people walk all over you. And it's a dangerous set of circumstances that you can be manifesting if you've buried your anger. So I would recommend everybody on the planet to get in touch with their anger that they've hidden. How you will know that you have hidden anger is if you manifest angry people in your life. So if you've got people in your life who are overtly angry, like they're literally bursting at the seams, and they will express their anger big time, right? So they've got a problem with anger just in the same way as you, apart from they're reactive in their anger, whereas you're repressive in your anger. So when people are angry around you, that's showing you what you have suppressed. So if somebody around you in your life is expressive of anger, that's showing you the anger inside of you. So you might be expressive in a certain emotion that they're suppressing. This is how we learn, and this is how we manifest exactly the right people. Even if they feel like the wrong people, they're showing us what is inside of us, interestingly. So what other people express in the world is suppressed within you. And then what you express in the world is suppressed within them. So that's interesting. Yeah, it's an eye opener. It's a life hack. That think about that in terms of your nearest and dearest. Yeah, I'm getting so tangenty. Yeah, so if you're overweight, or if you have somebody close to you that's overweight and doesn't want to be anymore, I would suggest looking into your sitting with your body and asking your body to show you the fear and the anger that has been hidden and suppressed. There's affirmations here that Louise Hay suggests for weight, and she says, I am protected by divine love. I am always safe and secure. I'm willing to grow up and take responsibility for my life. I forgive others, and I now create my own life the way I want it. I am safe. So if you look at all of that, it's pointing towards a feeling of not being safe, a feeling of not being able to get life flowing, a feeling of resenting other people, a feeling of I can't take responsibility for my life, I can't grow up, I don't feel safe and secure, and I am unprotected. So subconsciously, people will become fatter to literally create a physical barrier between themselves and the outside world. And a lot of women will do that in order to protect themselves from men. And often particularly with women, when relationships, like long-term relationships end, women often will just lose weight, literally overnight. And it's interesting. It just literally falls off. When I first started to tap, because I started tapping because I was having a nervous breakdown in my 30s, and I just was overwhelmed with I was flooded by memories that I had suppressed. So I was becoming aware in my 30s of things that happened to me a long time ago that I'd just blocked out. And it was overwhelming. And then as soon as I started to tap, it was so cathartic, and I was having profound shifts of consciousness actually, and like within a couple of weeks, I'd lost weight without doing anything, without exercising more, without changing eating habits or anything like that. It's like the weight just kind of fell off. So if you imagine, I was processing insecurity and anger and resentment and unsafety, lots of things I was starting to process. And then my body was like, oh, she doesn't need this physical barrier to the world anymore. She's safer. And then it literally just falls off. It's so interesting. So another thing, everybody goes on diets, and it might work for a bit, and they lose the weight, and then they feel great, and then they might put it all back on again. The world is full of all these crazy ways to help people lose weight, right? And it's all, oh, take this supplement or do this type of exercise or whatever. Now, the reason that flops for a lot of people and doesn't work is because some of it, the nervous system and the body is translating as kind of self-hatred and self-abuse. So if you're making yourself get up early and run around the park and it makes you feel sick and you hate it, that's not going to help you lose weight. It's not going to work. Stop doing it. It's not going to work. If you're exercising, fantastic, but you need to find a way of exercising that you love. Like, if you found a way of exercising that you loved, then your body would translate that as a form of love and a form of enjoyment, and then you wouldn't have resistance to going and doing that. So if you like raving, then rave. Go out raving on a Friday and a Saturday. If you like, kind of getting your leg warmers on and dancing to 80s music, go to a Keep Fit class. Go and do some Zumba or something like that. Do some swimming. So find ways that you like to move, that you like. Don't do forms of exercise that you hate doing, because that's the opposite energy of what is going to create a change in your energy system. So if you want to lose weight, find something that you love to do, and then you won't be resisting doing it. So find other people who also love doing that thing so that you can get infected by enthusiasm energy. That kind of energy will get you everywhere. And it never works, like all of these kind of like hardcore forms of exercise that people just don't like. It never works. You could do that every day until the cows came home and it wouldn't make you lose weight. Okay, so that's, where am I up to? So that's dementia and obesity and eyes. Somebody has asked me about Parkinson's, and I've had a couple of clients who've had Parkinson's. Yeah, this is an interesting one, this, because obviously one of the most obvious symptoms of Parkinson's is when people get the shaking. So like some of us on this channel will know that there's types of therapy where you can force your body into a kind of shake. Like TRE is a form of therapy, trauma release exercises, I think it stands for. And you can stand in a certain way, and you can lie down and kind of raise your hips off the floor, and put your legs into certain positions that kind of get you into a natural shake. And then if you do that with intention, you can start to release trauma, and you can work with memory and difficult emotions and stuff. So Parkinson's, in a similar way to what I was saying about dementia, with dementia, the body's almost trying to force people to look at their trauma. They're forcing them into a childlike state to do inner child work almost. With Parkinson's, it's a similar thing. The body's trying to force a person into releasing negative energy and trauma. So the pattern to do with Parkinson's is it's all about a control. It's kind of like a fear and an intense desire to control everything and everyone around you. So again, it's like a sense of not feeling safe, not trusting the process of life and all of that. Yeah, so I hope that helps those people that requested information about dementia and Parkinson's and obesity and everything. So it's so interesting. Like it's so interesting. So I think I've covered quite a few things that are quite common and that people are working on, and it's kind of things that become inevitable in life as well, like dementia and weight and stuff like that. So is there anybody who's here on the show live who would like to ask about a symptom for themselves or anybody else or anything?
Hey, Jen.
Oh, that's interesting. Oh, I was expecting, are we not doing the hands up thing anymore? Is that you, Litmus?
It is. Yeah,
Oh, hello.
the hands up thing's not there. It's not showing. So I just,
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
I forgot to switch it on. My bad.
Oh, no, that's okay. I don't mind. I was just expecting it because, like I said before, I'm quite short-sighted. I can't really see my phone because I've got a fear of the future, apparently. Anyway, let me.
yeah, you were saying about the eyesight stuff and the short-sightedness. So there's a couple of things there. I haven't really got a symptom this time, as you just asked. Has anyone got a symptom? But I just wanted to offer a comment on the sight thing. Was
Yeah.
that yeah, I found sun gazing at obviously just after sunrise and just before sunset, but not at any other time.
Yeah.
Has been really good for helping adjust reset my eyesight.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah, and you just do it. Well, what I do is I do one eye at a time for about 30 seconds. And then what I see then is like almost like a tunnel effect where the light appears to be shining through from the other side of a portal kind of thing. And you see all like curved lines as if it's a tunnel with dry ice kind of thing going, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I sort of rotate my head so that I sort of do the top, the bottom, and the sides of that eye, and then I do the other eye, and then I do them both eyes together for a bit. So just for a few minutes, really, and it really, really helps. The next day, my eyesight will be much clearer, So
Oh,
I
that's
only do
brilliant.
I only do it when I kind of feel I need to do it. And the other thing was Prajna was reminding me about prescription glasses, right? So we know why they're called prescription glasses is because they're as you probably know, they're meant to be a prescription that you use for a while, and then it cures the thing, and then you don't need them anymore, right? So
Yeah.
the idea with the prescription is to correct, to help the muscles, work again in the right way. Meant to wear them for a while to train the muscles again, and then you sort of give them back, like taking a course of tablets or whatever. So yeah, he
Yeah.
just said that to Jen and the guys, just as a, you're not meant to wear them all the time for the rest of your life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that just fits. It fits with everything, doesn't it? It's just another way that everyone's been taken away from themselves. Like you just have to put up with it. This is your cross that you have to bear. You're not going to be able to see properly. Kind of like the doom thing. Yeah,
Yeah,
weird,
yeah,
weird.
yeah. I remember when I first went to see the first doctor here in Portugal. The first thing he asked me is, "Do you have any chronic conditions?"
Mm, mm,
And I said, well, no, not really, not that I'm aware of. But there's everyone in my family has had issues with high blood pressure at some point, right? So
mm,
this is where I would come on to a symptom,
mm,
uh, is high blood pressure.
mm.
But he said, "Oh, so you have got a chronic condition, chronic high blood pressure," and he wrote it down. Chronic disease. Like it was like he was overjoyed that he'd found someone else with some kind of long-term chronic issue.
Oh, great. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I take one thing a day in the morning for the blood pressure, but
Mm,
I'm thinking now I probably don't need to really take that anymore. So
mm,
yeah,
mm,
if you've got thoughts on blood pressure, but mine is kind of linked to my sarcoidosis, which is apparently is an inflammatory autoimmune condition, which I inherited from my mother.
mm.
So I jumped around a bit there, but the 2 points on the eyesight, and then my symptom is high blood pressure, but it's linked to my sarcoidosis. Do you know what sarcoidosis is?
No, no, because I think you mentioned this last time, and I'm just looking at. It's not actually on the list. But what is that? Like, what is the like? How
Yeah.
would you describe that?
So basically, it's one of these many that we seem to have everywhere ubiquitously now, autoimmune conditions
All
where
right, yeah,
your body's kind of basically attacking itself, right, for some reason.
yeah, yeah,
Um, and it's inflammatory, which again, most of them are to do with inflammation of some kind, right?
yeah,
So they say they don't know what causes it, and there's no cure for it. But there's,
mm.
the first thing they want you to do is go on steroids, right?
Oh no, it does my head in. Yeah,
I know, right? So I said, look, there's no way I want to go on steroids, and I feel okay. But
mm,
the reason they diagnosed it is because I'd been suffering a bit with, getting panic attacks and things, and high blood pressure and various other things.
mm,
And they said, "Oh, we've done these tests, and we think you've got this thing." And I know my mum had that when she was pregnant with me, right? So
mm,
once I was born, she didn't have it anymore. I may have mentioned this before, but
mm,
it
mm,
turned out that then in my 50s, I apparently have sarcoidosis. And like they did, I mean, she was in hospital with it, but
mm,
they they put her on tablets, of course, and they wanted me to take steroids. And I said no. And I got into Ayurveda, um, a way of eating and stuff, and that really helped. And I've managed it all for 8 years now without any medication for it, just by
yeah,
adjusting lifestyle, stop coffee and alcohol and all these inflammatory things,
yeah,
you know, and and started eating and anti-inflammatory things
yeah.
that fit with
Oh,
my dosha. So
yeah.
yeah, but
Food is
apparently,
an amazing way to treat things. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Gosh,
apparently
I've got so many things to say after that. So sorry, you hadn't finished, had you there? Go on.
just one more thing. So one of the markers for sarcoidosis in your blood test is high angiotensin converting enzymes. Okay.
Oh.
anyone's ever taken ACE inhibitors as a blood pressure treatment, they'll know what this is. But apparently, you've got angiotensin converting enzymes, which convert angiotensin A, which is kind of benign, into angiotensin B, which constricts your blood vessels and puts your blood pressure up as a flight or fight syndrome thing, you know, instinctive reaction. So if you've got sarcoidosis and you've got more of these enzymes, you get more angiotensin converted to type B, and it puts your blood pressure up, right? So yeah, you can take one little tablet every day for your blood pressure, which sorts it out, or you can try alternative methods, you know. That's it. Yeah, that's all I wanted to say on that. And so, yeah, any views you've got on the blood pressure aspects of it?
Yeah, well, some people call high blood pressure hypertension, and
That's
that that gives more of a clue about what it really is. And people also connect high blood pressure with kind of, you know, real stress, like people that are kind of A-type, you know, they're really stressed, and the like Louise Hay would say about high blood pressure that it's long-standing emotional stuff that is unresolved. So that's interesting, because also what you were saying about the sarcoidosis, is it?
That's it. Yeah.
Being autoimmune, and like there was an element of panic attack with that. This is interesting because panic is, in my opinion, it's basically a symptom of not processing emotion generally. So you've got two things there that could be pointing you in the direction of like taking something on as a practice that is cathartic for your emotional life, if you see what I mean. Like if you use tapping before you went to sleep or when you got up in the morning, that would bring your cortisol level down, and then you would be moving through emotion rather than kind of like saving it up, if you see what I mean. So you might have there might have been a way that your parents kind of, they wouldn't have meant to, but that they might have said something to you that prevented you from being in the emotional experience that you were in. Like they might have judged anger, or they might have just, you know, some parents, they just divert a person away from an emotional experience instead of acknowledging it, you know. So you might have got the message somehow: I shouldn't be like this, I need to shush, you know, I need to bury it, I need to stop feeling anxious, or whatever it is. So that, like, the interesting thing about panic, and this is not what anyone wants to hear who panics, right? The way out of a panic attack is to panic. So if you can allow yourself to, next time you go into like a panic, use some tapping and let the panic be there. So let yourself literally hyperventilate, let your blood pressure go up, and allow the experience to kind of play out, because then your body will suddenly go, oh, like he's letting himself feel it, like he's letting himself feel the emotion, and then the nervous system will suddenly calm down, because you're allowing the situation to flow instead of trying to stop it from happening. So when people get that build up of that panic, kind of like, oh my God, I can't breathe, you know, it's because you're trying not to feel. You're trying not to feel the thing. You're pretending it's not there. You're trying to push it down. So it's like pushing emotion down. If you do it chronically for years and years and years, you become like a volcano. So imagine like this volcano needs to erupt, like this lava has just got to come out of some orifice, right? Imagine trying to push down like molten lava. It's just like becoming explosive, and that's what it's like, the burden of humanity at the moment. We've been taught not to be emotional. We've been taught to be zombies. We've been taught not to feel anything. So and we've been taught to judge it, you know. We judge ourselves, we judge other people who are being emotional, like all the different ways. We've got limiting beliefs about emotion. There's a million different ways that we're making it not okay to have certain feelings.
Can I jump in there, Jen?
Yeah.
Just to make it clear, I don't I don't have panic attacks anymore.
Yeah.
I had them back in 2017, which then led to me this diagnosis. Okay.
Yeah.
I did have a few afterwards, but I know what's caused it, and I totally agree with you. I think we were
Mm.
saying this last time. You know, my dad was always brought up to suppress and not show his feelings and suppress emotions.
Yeah.
And so he was like that with us, you know.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, everyone in our family had high blood pressure issues. so,
Mm. Mm.
so yeah, absolutely. And what I've noticed is you're dead right about the emotional thing, because since I've been working on all of these things and recognizing where they come from, and like we were saying, like a drug, let it do its thing, let it be, let
Mm.
it
Mm.
fulfill its purpose. And like you say, a panic attack's the same kind of thing. You just got to let it do what it's here to do, right?
Yeah.
Um, and I found since I've done that, you know, I've actually reduced my blood pressure meds by half, because I was feeling dizzy and like low blood pressure, and I checked my blood pressure and it was really low.
Yeah.
so so
Yeah.
I've actually dealt with it by crying and letting and recognizing where it comes from and releasing the
Yeah.
trauma, and as you're saying, yeah. So I totally
Yeah.
agree. Yeah.
Oh, crying is the best thing for anyone, like especially men. I love it
Yeah.
when men cry. Like when men cry in sessions with me, I feel like I've made it. I love it. I love it.
Oh, I hope
Um,
last week then when I was crying.
there's something else I was going to say to you. Yeah, the whole sort of epidemic of autoimmune stuff. Like, there's so many things that are autoimmune.
Yeah.
It's basically it is the body attacking itself. But if you look at it in a very literal way, it's because we've all been pitted against ourselves. So we've
Yeah.
been taught to hate ourselves or judge ourselves, and all our families do it. They make us
Yeah.
feel bad, and then we internalize the voices of our parents. Even after our parents are dead and gone, we're still like beating ourselves up in the same way that they used to kind of tell us off. And yeah, it's always an internal self. It's like a self-criticism. All of the autoimmune stuff is, and
Yeah.
that
My
that
mother. Sorry.
that it's a really beautiful thing, because as soon as people realize that, and then they go to work on the emotional side of it, and they go straight for, okay, oh my God, I am criticizing myself, and then they bring that into their conscious awareness. People with autoimmune, like if they don't get the message, they just keep manifesting a new symptom and then another one. So they'll have colitis, and then they'll get eczema, and then they might get psoriasis, or
Yeah.
um, and it's just the body shouting louder and louder, you've got this self-criticism. And as soon as someone gets it, and then they process that, they can have this mind-blowing healing where all their symptoms just fall away, like literally all of them. So quite often when people come for a session with me, if they've got lots of issues going on at the same time, not always autoimmune, but sometimes other multiple things, like if those things are all happening to you at the same time, they must be a frequency match to each other. So if you can do a bit of detective energy work and then figure out what that frequency is, you can collapse all your symptoms at the same time. So you can
Yeah.
effectively go from feeling old and kind of like, oh my God, like I'm completely broken, having all these symptoms, to just not having any,
Hmm.
if all of
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
symptoms were caused by the same thinking. It's
Yeah.
absolutely blowing. Because, like,
Yeah.
when I used to have chronic pain, and I wasn't even 40 at the time, and then when the chronic pain fell away, it was like I just was reliving my youth. Do you know what I mean? I just went from
Hmm.
feeling incredibly old and not being able to move and not sleeping properly and not being able to run for the bus and like walking like an old woman, and to just feeling amazing. It's so
Yeah.
liberating.
It is.
Yeah.
And yeah, and my mother was a hypochondriac, so I can relate to a lot of that. And I managed to let that go now as well. Um, and there was something else I was going to share, but but basically, yeah, you know, I think all of these things, it's what you do, right? It's all about emotional stuff. and mental stuff rather than physical stuff, but manifesting as physical kind of symptoms, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that
cool.
what you said before about inflammation, because it is inflammation that's at the root of all physical stuff, really. Like if you see it as an itis, like anything with itis on the end, is basically thinking that is not peaceful. So kind of like that seeing red, that inflamed kind of like
Mm.
fear, anger. That
Excellent.
that's inflammation. Yeah.
And they
And
think, apparently there's a link between some childhood jabs and all this rise of autoimmune stuff as well, isn't there? I don't know so much about that, but I've heard
I'm
that
sure
might be
there
an
is, yeah.
issue.
Yeah. Yeah, there's like I follow these people called Touchstone Essentials, and it makes so much sense to me what they say, that they treat a lot of stuff with zeolite and loads of different things. I can't remember everything that they use, but it's toxicity, yeah, environmental toxicity, and it just makes sense that that stuff is going to interfere with the cells of our body and like how the body works. It's just getting in the way, isn't it? It's just, yeah.
Yeah, and I can highly recommend Ayurveda approach to diet as a healing thing with this kind of stuff, because that's what I've used to not take medication for it, you know?
Yeah, that because I've looked into that a little bit and it does make sense to me. Is that when people are a certain type, like your
Yeah,
pitta?
dosha. Yeah,
Yeah,
so you have a dosha for your body type,
yeah,
and the main ones then are Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. Um,
yeah. I think
yeah,
it really links into astrology as well, like how
it
much
it
fire people have,
I was
and
just about to say that. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, absolutely. I
yeah,
found I was asking all my friends, when we did doshas, I was saying, when's your birthday, and doing their birth chart, and I was finding elemental correspondences everywhere.
mm,
So
mm,
yeah, if they're a pitta, which is fire,
mm,
you'd find their sun, moon, or rising sign would be a fire sign.
mm, mm,
It was every time, and likewise, if they were kapha, it would be earth or water, and if it
mm,
was batter, it would be air, yeah, definitely. So cool. Thanks, Jen.
yeah. What was the air one?
Uh, 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 vata,
Oh,
vata,
Vata, that's it. Yeah, that's the one that I am, being
va. Yeah.
Typhoon
Well,
Gemini.
there you go, right? Me too. I'm Vata
Yeah,
Pitta, right? And I've got, so
yeah,
Vata, I've got Gemini Sun and Moon, and then Pitta, I've got Leo Rising. So
yeah,
if you're Vata, you've got 5 planets in Gemini air sign, right? So there you go.
yeah. Isn't it amazing how all these systems that have been worked out by different people all fit together and
Yeah,
complement? So good,
there's
isn't it?
correspondences everywhere, yeah.
Yeah,
And that's what magic is, right? It's correspondences between all these things so that you can tap into them all from very many different angles, Yeah,
yeah, it's so good. I love it.
thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Um, is there anybody else who's here on the live who'd like to ask about a symptom? I'm just trying to think if there's anything else that comes up that's common.
Jen, could I ask about cysts?
Oh, you can, Carly. Yes. So cysts generally, or cysts in a specific area?
Well, actually, well, I could go for one in my knee, which is on the right hand side, which I think I'd listened to your other show, so I'd kind of trace that back a little bit. But then I was thinking, actually, my friend has got a cyst, like potentially on an ovary. So I was thinking, right, what's the correlation? What's the crossover part?
Ah, okay, that's an interesting one because that people quite often get cysts in the reproductive system.
Uh-huh.
So a cyst it's like it's an old painful energy. So Louise Hay talks about it as like you're running an old painful movie, like you keep running an old story, like nursing a hurt, if you see
Oh,
what I mean,
yes.
like a full way, kind of telling that story, telling the story again, and telling the story. Now, if it's ovarian, then if you think about it extremely literally again, the ovary is like the where the egg would be kind of nurtured and supported. So if you see that as creation, you know, that's where creation happens. That's where the baby will be formed. It's like a catalyst, like the beginning of life kind of thing. So if there's a cyst in that area, it will be the old painful movie. So the story that's being told, it's about not being able to create. It's like something was going on for this person that inhibited their ability, their capacity to create, to catalyze, to reach potential, to kind of grow, if you see what I mean.
Okay.
So yeah, anything to do with the reproductive system is always going to be connected to how to create life. Does that make sense? And that's like a really perfect example to sort of demonstrate what the subconscious mind actually is. It's a tape player. We go over and over again, like the same, how dare they, you know, how dare they do this to me? Like never getting over it, telling the same story again and again. Like that's kind of like the tape player will just keep on playing, and the body will keep showing you this same thing kind of through symptoms until you allow it to have happened. Do you know what I mean? So like all of this stuff is the way out is to accept that it's there. So if you think of humanity as kind of stuck on this trying not to feel, trying not to feel, trying not to feel, trying not. So as soon as you flip the switch from trying not to feel to fuck it, I'm just going to feel it now, I'm going to feel it, it starts to all subside.
Well,
It's
Jenny,
strange.
this cyst thing at the back of my leg, left leg, it's on my right leg. So you were talking about knees. That sort of started all that off, like years and years ago, and it's come back up.
Okay, that's interesting. Sorry, which leg did you say?
It's on my. Wait a minute, I've got to feel it. It's on that's the left leg. Right leg. It's on my right leg. So that would be the masculine. Am I correct in what you were saying
Yeah,
from
yeah.
last show? And it being a past wound thing, I was thinking, right, okay, that it kind of really makes sense as like this, I don't know, this rupturing in there that's like, fucking look at that. And I'm like, it's behind me. No, it fucking ain't. And there's the lump.
Yeah. Are you right? Just out of interest, are you short-sighted?
Jen, I've got that rugby problem that you've got, lemon shaped rugby eye thing. And beyond that, I don't really know. But I haven't worn my glasses, and I went through a stage of deciding that I didn't like the lenses in them, so I poked the lenses out and wore them, looking for a lens that wasn't there, that was my own eyeballs. Oh man, I feel like a fucking nutter.
Oh, that sounds like something you would do. So right. So the right leg is masculine. The cyst. Right, hang on a sec. So Louise Hay would say about legs generally, they carry us forward in life, right? The right side, obviously being the male side, if you think about masculine energy, so if you think about divine masculine, divine feminine, like the divine masculine is all about action, like taking action. So taking action in your best interests, if you see what I mean. So you might have some kind of unresolved thing happening in your subconscious that hasn't been looked at yet, connected with life being against you in some way. Like I can't take action in my best interests. I can't move forward. I can't step into myself in the way that I choose. Leg problems are kind of a fear of the future, not wanting to move. Like I've got this trepidation. I can't move forward with confidence and joy because I don't know that all is well yet. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm afraid. Does that ring any bells?
Yeah, it does, because I've got that I've got that going on. It's like if I let go of that pain, I don't know if you was talking about that. It's almost like holding on to that pain keeps me on the tightrope.
Mm.
So I'm happy to feel it, but yet at other times I don't want to. So it's like letting it go means like I'm almost going to spring, and I'm like, fuck, can I?
Yeah. It can feel incredibly vulnerable to suddenly not have the thing that has almost been protecting you. Yeah, because moving forward is hard. Like making decisions about and doing something new is hard. Taking an action is a powerful action. It's hard when. So if you bear in mind the cyst thing, it's when you nurse a hurt. It's like I almost need the resentment of this. I need to keep
I'm
hold.
hanging on to the story and I'm retelling it like it says.
Yeah, because sometimes
Just
we
making
can.
sure that it.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, let's see if the herring grain that is.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Yeah, sometimes it's like we'll hold on to a symptom so that we can show that person that screwed us up, right? So we can show them the evidence of what they did to us. It's like I'm gonna just keep suffering from this,
Oh,
like
Jen, man,
terrible
you
thing that
couldn't
they
have used any fucking better words there. Thank you.
did. Oh,
Just have a replay video. Thank you. There you go. Rewind.
yeah, we're so weird, humans, aren't we? It's like, really? Okay, I'm just going to choose to be in pain forever so that person, so I can show them, how badly they damaged me. It's crazy. That was when I was working on, well, I wasn't working on my chronic pain. It kind of healed by accident, but I had a tiny little bit of it left, and it's like I couldn't shift this last bit of pain, and I was like analyzing it and like, what the hell is it? And then the trainer that I had for EFT said to me, is there any part of you that needs a scrap of evidence to show your mum what she did to you? And I was like, boom, that's what it is.
Well, Jen, it's like I've been injected in the arse. This is the thing that this thing was there. It come up the other week, and I thought, okay, right. Well, all right. I know what I've been neglecting, and I know where that's kind of all right. Pause that, put it over there. And then in the last few days, I've got this like it's gone. That lump is still there at the back of the leg, yet my bottom, like on the right bum cheek, saying feels like I've got this like injection point of. So I listened to your show earlier and thought, right, okay, come on. So you've done exactly the same in a roundabout way of delivering that to me. So again, just as all with everything, thank you all. Oh, I'm tapping out, Jen, because I've waffled and waffled.
Oh, you do make me laugh. Your laugh is the best laugh ever, and Jackie's laugh is really good as well. Like I love the laughter on holistic radio. Yeah, thanks, Carly. Is there anybody else wants to ask about a symptom? And then we better finish soon, hadn't we? Because it's 6:10.
You can finish if you want, Jen, or you can carry on. It's entirely up to you.
I'd like to give you some feedback, Jen.
Oh, yes, please.
So last session, we looked at my Achilles tendon, you remember?
Yeah.
And so while you were chatting with Inej, my friend, I went straight outside in the sunshine and did some grounding on the grass and with my bare feet. And the sun was there, so I took the sun to represent my father. And I opened my arms wide and gazed up at the sun and let it all go and thanked him for the gifts he'd given me through that experience. And just forgave him for anything that he unbeknowingly did wrong. And it felt really good. And I gotta say, since then, my tendon is much better and a lot less painful. Yeah.
Yeah, that was so good. That was a bit of intuitive wizardry that took place there. Amazing. Well done.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Well, thank
yeah.
you as well for your guidance and help with that. Yeah.
Yeah, I would recommend like anybody that has a stubborn sort of symptom that's been knocking about for a bit. give it some time and space, and like sit with it, and use some tapping, like just tap on the thymus point in the middle of the chest, and like just tell the pain or the symptom or whatever that you're completely here with it, and you're completely here for it. And then just say, have you got anything you'd like to say? Have you got like anything you'd like to express? And then just sit and feel the feeling, and then just send love in the direction of that, and then notice what comes into your thoughts. And you might get a memory, and then that memory, like whatever happens when you set that intention and you ask your body a question, anything that you then think is not an accident. It's definitely connected, and it will come up straight away. So, you know, like anybody that sort of teaches anything about intuition, how to know whether you're listening to your ego or your intuition. The intuition is the instant kind of like, there it is, boom, ask the question, boom, there's the answer. So often the answer will come, and then we'll go, no, it's not going to be that, and then we'll push it away and then go for the ego version, you know. So yeah, ask a question, sit with it, let the pain or the symptom or the itch or the scratch, you know, the sensation of it be there, and then let it speak. And then the more you do that, the more your body feels heard and acknowledged, and then there's absolutely no reason for the symptom to remain, because the whole function and sole purpose of it was to bring information to you. So yeah, and it's the symptoms are just information, that's all. We just have to listen, or find our own way to sort of retrieve the information. Yeah.
Jen, can I say something? Sorry.
Go on, Callie.
I was going to say that I think I had a session with Jenny, and I would have this come up quite a lot. I would get this, when I get emotional, I would get this like itch, like it's almost like around my neck, and it's like I want to be able to say something, but I can't. And it's like, and then I want to get my clothes off because I'm hot. And I haven't had that for a really long time. That's something that I've noticed and I noticed it when you were speaking about an itch. I think you spoke about it in the last recording that I listened to today. So that's just clicked that bit in my brain. So again, just thank you everyone for bringing forward what happens.
Oh, that's very interesting what you said about the neck, like wanting to say something but you can't. Like anything to do with the neck is usually about free will. So sort of like and any sense of having your free will invaded, or not being able to expand or express kind of in the way that makes sense to you, like if somebody suppressed you, or sometimes it will appear in the neck. Actually, I'm just looking up the neck now.
That would be a regular thing that come up in therapy, like that feeling of wanting to claw at my own. I don't mean like gouge myself, but I mean like, oh, it's itchy, I want it off me. Yeah.
So the neck, on the list it says it can be about flexibility as well, like representing flexibility, the ability to see what's back there. So that's probably referring to like the back of your neck, like not being able to see the other side. So sometimes neck problems can be, you know, like stubbornness and unworkability, inflexibility. Like sometimes somebody can't see your point of view, you can't see their point of view. That finding it difficult to see the other side of something, that can be a neck problem. But yeah, it's often to do with free will as well, like an invasion of free will. And then, like what you said about getting hot, like that heat, often when somebody is actually healing something, so the body's energy system has felt acknowledged, and so energy is moving and you're in the healing process, sometimes that will manifest as heat. And sometimes it's cold as well. And sometimes both at the same time, if that's possible. So sometimes you can feel kind of like hot and sweaty, but you're shivering, you know, like when people are shocked, sometimes that happens.
Like when you're running a temperature.
Yeah, and That's obviously the body, isn't it? Trying to heal itself, trying to get back into homeostasis. Heat and cold is the natural intelligence of the body, just knowing what to do and getting on with it, sort of thing.
Oh, what a making sense day. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah. The body does make a lot of sense. We just don't tend to listen to it much, you know. Or we'll ask somebody who is outside of us, who is nothing to do with our body, what's going on with our body. I mean, look at the madness of it. It's crackers.
Yeah, inflammation is information, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So what did you want to say, Litmus?
Information is information is information. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah, I think we said it last time, but when you said about the body sending you signals, you know, through symptoms, and a lot of it is to do with information, and that is good information for you about why you're getting that thing happening, right?
Yeah, it's all just information. And it's kind of mad if you think about it. Some people hold on to their symptoms all their life because they don't know what to do about that. And all the time it was just information that they needed in order to get better, that they didn't want to see because it was too hard, or that they didn't know how to get to that. And it was just information. It's just the body shouting, over here.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thanks for all you're doing and opening us up to these ideas. Yeah, thank you.
No, thank you, Litmus. Okay, and anybody else?
If you're going to wind it up shortly, Jen, I'd just like to thank you for today's show, and it's been fascinating listening to Litmus and Carly interacting with you and the information that's flowed.
Well, thanks, Andy. Yeah, thanks everybody who's come on the live, and yeah, if anybody wants me to do more of this, just let me know, and otherwise I'll move on to something else. But yeah, it's all kind of normal to me, this, and I forget that people in the world don't necessarily know this. Do you know what I mean? It shocks me actually every now and then when I talk to people and they're like, "Really? What, really?" Yeah, it's just so, everything's so simple, really. I think life is so simple and easy, and we've just got ourselves into this complicated, like, complexity. Everything's just so wonky and difficult, and it doesn't need to be. We just
Totally
sort of
agree.
tie ourselves up in knots, and yeah, it's nice to untie ourselves.
Yeah,
And
it's
see
like we've been
what's really there.
conditioned to think that if it's simple, it's not the answer. It's got to be complicated.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Bit like
we were
education.
we were having a walk around the cliff path down to the beach for lunch earlier, and we were saying that, you know, that actually when you've been through a few of these spiritual kind of experiences and connecting with the sources of these, you know, symptoms and the trauma and doing all the healing and all of that stuff, and you kind of get to this place of calmness and peace, and everything just feels much more relaxed, and all the fear's gone and all of that, and then you just really realize how simple life really is. It's so simple, but as you say, you know, the Matrix and all these other things, they make it appear to be complicated, you know, when actually it is very simple.
Yeah, and then we all end up looking back at how complex everything's been for us, and then regretting and thinking that we're the bad guys. Why did we do that? Oh no, you know. And so much. It feels like so much wasted time, but like obviously our souls have grown massively in the time that we had our knickers in a twist, you know, in a million different ways.
Yeah.
Oh.
Cool.
All right then. Well, thanks everybody for coming, and thanks everybody for listening to the replay. And if anybody's got any questions, just get in touch. I never mind answering questions. I love it. So thanks everybody for listening, and I'll see you next week.
you so much for listening and watching. If you got inspired, then I would be so grateful for you clicking the like button, subscribing to the channel, commenting underneath, and sharing with someone you think it might help. And if there is something that you are personally working on, that you are finding it hard, then ask under the video. Let's start a conversation that others can also benefit from. What have you tried that's worked? What have you tried that hasn't? Self-healing is the way, and it is mainstreaming. Let's help each other. Lots of love. I look forward to seeing you here again.